John, from your country perspective, please.
To me, I would like to look at resilience as a matter to be defined at the different stakeholders level. To me, I would like to look at it as an issue of analysis of the stakeholders. We look what is the interest of each stakeholder when we look at it at individual or community level or even sectoral, and including the middle class you talked about, they have interest, and also at the system level. When we properly identify the you can say resilience needs of each stakeholder, we can now come up with a specific agenda to address. Coming back to the issue of South Sudan, as I said, the food insecurity is essentially chronic and structural. That's why my country established the Food Security Council, which is chaired by the President himself. And this is essentially to bring together all the multi-stakeholders, all the interacting sectors, including the non-governmental private sector, to work together, think together to address the issue of food security. But one challenge is there, and that comes from the different frameworks that are coming. You have a framework on drought resilience, you have a framework on scaling up nutrition, you have a framework on health. Now it becomes really a challenge for a country as young as South Sudan to think through, to coordinate within one framework and all the frameworks together. So this is going to be actually a big challenge. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you very much for clarifying and re-emphasizing your point. You think it's mostly a chronic problem in Sudan. Colleagues, we have to watch the clock. Stefan.
Yes, let me start with an example. A few weeks ago, I went to Zambia. Zambia, excellent agricultural condition, wonderful. More than 50% of children are malnourished. The Zambians, they do not face any immediate regional crisis. No flooding, no serious drought, no armed conflict, nothing like that. But they suffer, in their normal life, they already suffer hunger. But they are facing individual risks and shocks. If one breadwinner in a household dies or gets ill, people have to sell their scarce asset to survive. And this is a plea not against resilience, but that's a plea for open our perspective beyond just regional and global crisis and focus again on individual shocks and crises. For I think that is, on a broad perspective, far, far more important on a global scale to address, and we should not run the risk again to neglect and ignore all these usual structural problems we have in rural areas all over the world. If you really want to overcome hunger and malnutrition, we have to focus on these individual problems, have to deal with that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it seems to me that keeping the resilience on a global agenda is going to really demand that there is real evidence to bring to the table about the value of focusing on resilience. And I think that it really then posits the question of, let's look at where this is actually moving forward and see what is actually happening and what we're learning and the kind of changes that are occurring, and greater attention is needed to that. Really just a couple of things that are actually already attributable to working on resilience are really three quick points. One of them is that a focus on resilience has actually allowed us to significantly increase the attention to some of the most significant, difficult challenges that developing countries currently face. But it's forcing it to be done in a different way so that you are seeing the prospects that the development or humanitarian assistance is more effective. And I think that that is actually, an important issue, what we've seen. And concretely, it is leading to changes in the way that the development community is doing business. I can report and note that, in fact, the focus on resilience has already led to the introduction of new instruments, that are allowing for a crisis modifier to be incorporated into development activities, that's allowing for development assistance to be more flexible in responding to crisis, and that the humanitarian assistance has actually amended the way that it is being done so that you are getting multi-year support so that it does support the recovery and help to actually lay that foundation for a more effective development process to occur. So there are concrete things that are happening. I think that it's going to be important to be able to talk about those to keep the discussion on the table.
Thank you. Nadine.
3 quick things that, in my view, are going to change for the better in the post-2015 scenario. One of them is linked to also a lesson from the 3 days we just had, that it's not only resilience of communities, but resilience of the system. And the system has that regional component that I want to bring to the forefront. Regional integration, removing trade and non-trade barriers and others is, in my view, going to advance, and having the post-2015 resilience in there is going to support us in doing that. Second, bread, freedom, and social justice was what people in the streets were clamoring for, and not only in the Middle East. And this has been heard. If there was one criticism of the MDGs, and there were quite a few, was that there wasn't enough on governance and these issues, and they are now front and center there. And the third thing, as the country level, I think with the work that IFPRI is doing, we know much more what is the impact of some of the subsidies, and these are going to be changed.
Okay.
My wish for each and all of us is that we consider a paradigm shift in which we prevent the world from reinventing new wheels, but instead of that, we contribute to assembling a vehicle with multi-stakeholders towards a resilient solution, a resilient future for mankind, the planet, and natural resources by 2025, so that we leave the next generation a better world.
Okay, and let me add 2 points from my side. Colleagues, the food system today is at least as dependent on non-food systems than it is on food and agriculture. It depends on electricity and energy, on transport, on communications, etc. Ask yourself, are we reaching enough out to these other systems? Because we will only get a resilient food system if we think in terms of system of these systems. That's what resilience, innovation, management, and resilience engineering is about. Secondly, let's not forget the big global issues of the resilience of the ecosystems, of which the food system is a piece, and which is at the core of the debate of the Sustainable Development Agenda. The relationship between sustainability of humankind and sustainability of nature. And at the core of that is making our food and nutrition system actually resilient. And finally, let's keep in mind that resilience is a people issue, is an issue of social systems, sustainability and resilience, and will not be achieved as long as we have a cross-discrimination, exclusion, violation of rights, and neglect of rule of law. Those are the fundamentals of coming to a resilient food and nutrition security system. as a cross-cutting issue, we need to look beyond our food and agriculture system. And I promise you, when we do so, we will find a lot of controversy in what we try to achieve, and that's fruitful. Let me close by echoing what Gerda Verburg had suggested. We have to watch time in the next few months. Not only now in this session, Rajul, but also in the next few months. I'm sure if we will get this documentation out very quickly in order to influence the agenda setting process, which is in full swing in the next 12 months. And it will not work if you, in the audience, don't do don't make your contributions to communicate the needs for optimal investment in resilience now and in the future. Thank you very much for your attention. And an applause to this wonderful panel.